Everyone, thank you so much for coming. We have a lot of transit advocates here today, which is wonderful. And as a farm kid from Iowa, I'm very happy to have folks here and not in Iowa today to talk about this. My parents are also happy that you're not in Iowa, so they don't have more people trying to talk to them as they're coming out of the grocery store constantly. So having that done will be very, very good. So thank you all for being here. We have, as our transit system grows in Minnesota and as we continue to grow that system, it has become clear that our current system is not working on handling fares, on the system for collecting fare citations, and making sure that that system works for all of Minnesotans. We believe that we have to have an effective and fair transit system, and that's what we're going to talk to you about today. Is Bill House Number 3085, which is a bill that will create a transit ambassador program as well as creating decriminalizing fare evasion. So the way it works today is that a $2 fare, if it is unpaid for non-payment on a $2 fare, it results in a $180 fine. So the fine for the fare is completely out of line with what the fare is. And so this is a misdemeanor, and it's on par with a DUI or with a $500 property theft or assault. And we don't think that that is correct. We have bipartisan support in the House and the Senate for the concept that that is not a good thing for all Minnesotans. And so what we want to do is take and decriminalize that fare to make it a petty misdemeanor. And so with a petty misdemeanor, it will be on par with a traffic ticket, with a parking ticket, and those types of things. So we're working on that piece with this bill. And today, less than 3% of the citations from non-payment of fares are actually paid in the state of Minnesota. So it's a really important thing that we work on this and find a system that works better. And so with this non-payment, there are suspensions that happen, a lot of different things. And so it puts a huge burden on the judicial system. And so there's a huge cost of trying to collect these fares. And again, it's less than 3% of fare citations that are actually collected, because a lot of prosecutors believe that this is not in line with what their values are and what they want to be working on. So House File 3085 is part of a solution to improve the experience, to improve the safety, and the financial responsibility on our transit system. And so we've got people here today that will be helping us talk about this. But what this bill does is, again, two major things. Is it reduces fare evasion from a misdemeanor to a petty misdemeanor across the state of Minnesota. So this is a statewide issue, whether your transit is in Minnesota, whether it is in Duluth or Moorhead that you're using transit, it will reduce that. It will also create a transit ambassador program, which will create administrative citations that will be a $35 fee plus fine, and that will make it more equitable across the system. We've got some folks who are going to talk about that today. And so what we're going for here is an improved transit experience for all Minnesotans, as well as working on making the system more equitable for folks who need help. And so these transit ambassadors will work on fare evasion, but also making sure that we are connecting to services. So we're thinking about it as downtown improvement district ambassadors that you see in Minneapolis. And so this is folks that will be there to help if someone from Moorhead is trying to use the system and they can't find where they're going, these ambassadors will be able to help with that, as well as they'll be able to write administrative citations for fare evasion and work from there. So now we have Chair of Transportation, Frank Hornstein, to talk a little bit about the program. Chair Hornstein.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Vice Chair Tabke, for taking a lead on this and introducing House File 3085. I did want to let people know we will be hearing this bill next week in the Transportation Finance and Policy Division. It is an important bill. It is a priority for our transit system. And I also wanted to express my appreciation to Representative Tabke and everybody here. Development of this bill has been a months-long process. We have had collaboration with the business community in the metro area, particularly in the East Metro. We have had consultations with and involvement from elected officials along the line. as well as transit riders and transit advocates. So this is really a group effort, and I feel very strongly that that is particularly important, in this moment. We also have been talking and researching what's worked in other communities. We are not the first metro area or transit system to be looking at an ambassador program. We've seen this in Pennsylvania, in Seattle, at the BART system in the Bay Area. All have some form or another of transit ambassadors. And we're particularly encouraged, I think the model in the Bay Area does work well because we've seen initially some results where they have had an increase in fare collections as well as a drop in crime. And so this is a proven strategy. We know it works. We're not the first metropolitan area to try it. And finally, I did want to emphasize Representative Tabke used the word equity many times, and transit really is at its core an equity issue. In fact, tomorrow is a national day called Transit Equity Day. We find that this is so important for people getting to work and to school who don't have options. Strong metropolitan areas, strong regions have strong transit systems that are equitable and that do include the entire community. So this is part and parcel of that effort. We need to make sure that we have the strongest and best transit system that we can put together, and this will be a giant step in making that experience happen for transit riders and the region as a whole. Thank you so much, Representative Tabke. And I would now like to introduce one of the key collaborators that we've had in this effort, a very thoughtful member of the St. Paul City Council, Mitra Jalali Nelson, who represents the 4th Ward. That also includes the Midway area and many neighborhoods that benefit from the Green Line. Thank you so much, Councilmember Jalali Nelson.
Great, thank you so much. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Mitra Jalali, and I represent Ward 4 on the St. Paul City Council. I'm really excited to move this legislation forward today. I represent the 4th Ward of St. Paul. The Green Line comes into St. Paul from Minneapolis through the area that I represent. I think roughly a third or a fourth of the corridor alone runs through the area of the city I represent. And in this capacity, I see every single day the thousands of residents and mix of folks coming and going from St. Paul who really rely on public transportation. And what I'm most excited about in this legislation, in addition to the fact that it's smart, it's sophisticated, it provides a better solution to making sure that we have safe light rail than what we currently have. I think that it's a really transformative possibility to think about going onto a train or a bus anywhere statewide in Minnesota and to be greeted by a transit ambassador, which is something that this bill would create. And these are individuals who would be able to greet you, ask if you need support and resources connecting to address non-payment of fares, and more broadly be able to support people who are sometimes experiencing tremendous instability because of the different gaps in equity and resources we have across our community. In St. Paul, we're talking a lot about the concept of community first public safety. So how do we make investments in our community in addition to and beyond traditional policing and law enforcement that actually reduce crime, that move us from a reactive place to a proactive place where we're supporting all residents and living healthy, fulfilling lives. And I think this is the kind of thing that state and local and regional partners can do to support that work for a safer community for all of us. So I'm just very thrilled to see this move forward. I look forward to supporting it and working with everyone else involved in us having a world-class transit system for all residents, no matter your background. So toward that end, I'm really happy to introduce our Met Council Chair, Charlie Zelle, who'll share a few words now. Thanks.
Thank you, Council Member. And I want to express my appreciation to Representative Tabke and Chair Hornstein for advancing this legislation. There's no question that we've learned around the country that we need to do a better job in enforcing non-payment of fares. And this idea is one that really can be both fair but also more effective as we enforce and find a greater share of people who need to pay their fair share and pay the fare itself. But the idea of having ambassadors is much more than that. I think that the idea to create this welcoming and safe environment is really critical. it by itself is not enough. I think at Met Council, we need to up our game. We see that safety, the idea of the atmosphere of safety, the atmosphere of being comfortable to come in and out of all of our buses and trains is really, really critical. And I have to say, my 35 years as a transportation professional, I've been engaged in safety every step of the way. And we are so understanding that those that do not feel welcome coming onto the trains deserve to feel that. We are going to be talking more and more about what we can be doing. This is one element, but I have to say one of the key and critical initiatives that I'll be engaged in is talking about how we can raise safety as a priority, an atmosphere of welcomingness, if that's a word, to kind of a highest priority. So, and with that, I thank you so much for this important step toward that goal.
All right, again, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. And does anyone have questions?
Yeah, so how does the ambassador program work? How many ambassadors are you looking? Are you going to have ambassadors on every single train at every single time? What's the vision look like?
Yeah, the goal of the transit ambassadors is to increase the presence of transit ambassadors. It will not be a transit ambassador on every platform, every train, every day. But what this will be, we don't have a specific number set forth yet. We're still working on the financial aspect of it. We'll have a fiscal note for this bill should be ready by next week when we have the hearing for it. So we'll be able to talk financial pieces of it more at that point. But the goal is to get transit ambassadors, have them be ever present on our light rail, on bus rapid transit to begin with, and to work with that at that point so that people have someone they can talk to and someone that they can work with on the light rail station, on light rail and bus rapid transit.
And they will be checking fares as well?
Yes, they will be checking fares, they will be connecting people with services, they will be trained in de-escalation so that we can help with safety issues as they come up. And as Chair Zelle discussed, there are a lot of other things happening within Met Council right now. So live video is something that is going to be on our light rail trains very soon. And so we'll have someone on the other side of the video who is able to watch what's happening in real time, and then we can use these combination of transit ambassadors and the transit police in order to handle situations as they come up, to have a more robust real-time response.
And in your press release, it says that you're looking for compliance for at least 10% of riders by 2024. What's the percentage of the people that are checked now on a light rail or a bus?
Yeah, right now it's very low. We don't have the exact number. We do know that less than 3% of the citations that are given out. So the way Metro Transit handles it right now is that everyone gets a warning first. And so as there's a fare evasion, they get a warning. And the second time they are stopped, are caught evading fares, then it is a citation at that point. And so I think that everyone is pretty clear that $180 fine equitable with DUIs and assaults is not where this should be. And so I think offenses and citations are attempted to not go out because it hurts a lot of people and it hurts a lot of lives, and we need to make sure that this is equitable. So the goal is to have increased fare payment so that we have more fair recovery, and that money will then, instead of being a drain on the judiciary system as it is today when the transit police make a citation, these administrative citations, that money will go back into the program through Met Council, and so it will go back into the Met Council coffers and be able to support more services.
Do you expect to get bipartisan support on this bill?
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that at all?
We've talked with, this is especially the decriminalization part has extraordinary bipartisan support from people in the Republican senators and from Republican House members as well. And we do definitely expect to have bipartisan support on the bill once we start to move forward through the process.
How much of the transit ambassadors is trying to free up the police officers that you have to deal with other things?
Yeah, that's a big point of this is that we want the transit police to be able to work on more higher level crimes and things that are happening that are safety concerns and issues throughout the transit system. And so that the transit police will therefore be able to work on more high level crimes and things that are happening today to make the transit system a safer and better experience for everyone. And so with the transit ambassadors, there will be a mix, and we're not going to be prescriptive in the bill as to exactly what that mix should be. We just know the outcomes that we would like to see are a safer, more equitable, more efficient transit system. And so we'll let the gurus at Met Council figure out exactly how to push that forward. Yeah. Any other questions?
So the problem now is that by not enforcing fares, you're just allowing vagrants on board the trains and everything, and that's causing a lot of the problems? Could you articulate that a little more?
Yeah, we're absolutely, Metro Transit Police are absolutely working to enforce fares. They're absolutely working to get more of that done. It's just we have a system that's broken today as this is pushing forward. And so we need to, this bill will help to fix that system to make it work better for everyone and increase fare recovery, as well as making the transit ride that people are taking a safer, more pleasurable experience so that we have more folks around. You want to add to that?
I would add to that the costs of routine fare enforcement as we do it right now far outweigh whatever we're getting back from trying to recoup the cost of those fares. This is just a smarter, better, safer investment for everyone. The current system, to his point, is broken in that way too.
I think we could do maybe one more question. All right.
Thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.